Making a sticking hot water heater. Anybody on yet? Hello, hello, hello. Waiting for people to get on. Oh, guys. All right, so live stream. Hey, hey, Mauser. Is that like Mauser? Is that like the rifle? Is that different thing? The German rifle, Mauser? Isn't that like a rifle or something? I have no idea what the lighting is like. Let's see. Yeah. No, not that Mauser. Different Mauser. Okay, that's definitely. Yeah, that's not. The contrast is not set right. Let's see. Trying to get lighting and stuff. See, does that do better? It's gonna blind me to death. You can bounce the wall off the wall here. A little bit better. Yeah. Yeah. So this live cast, I didn't time it. I don't know what time I want to do these things. I kind of have to do them whenever I feel like doing them. I hate being on a time schedule. I may do these live casts like at a specific time, maybe in the evening, because I go to bed when the sun goes down, and I'm like not wanting to do anything in the evening because I'll be grumpy. I'm not an evening person. I'm a morning person. So, but anyway, I just want to do this live cast talking about fly fishing. I'm gonna mow your. Oh, good morning from Texas. Katy, Texas, like Katy. Fly fishing. It's a dream. Yeah, you don't have. Doesn't have to be a dream. You can do it. I mean, I think fly fishing. Part of the reason it is an incredibly soothing way to fish. The casting there's a rhythm to it. There's a slowness to it. The same sort of pleasure I get from using my lenses, the old school lenses. I usually have to slow down and do things, and makes you think through things a little bit more. That's why I like it, and it's a versatile way to fish. There's just it's not all top water dry fly like you see in river runs through it. I mean, there's two-handed fly rods that have lines that'll sink faster than lead. So yeah, Katy, Texas. All right, so yeah, so good morning. What's that? How many? You got 5 people on. You probably don't see what I see. I'm not really quite sure what that does. So yeah, first of all, let's talk about. I got some books here, some basic resources that I use all the time in fly fishing. Probably the number one that I used early on was this DVD. You could probably stream it on Amazon now, I'd imagine. Called Joan Wolfe. She's like a legendary fly fisher lady. I don't even know if she's still alive. If she is, she's got to be like 100 or something. And she will go through a lot of single-handed fly casting, and she'll break things down. And you remember the one scene in River Runs Through It where the guy's talking about shadow casting? It's not really called shadow casting. It's actually there's a cast where instead of the line coming over the top, you bring it under the bottom. And I use that all the time because I'm using these heavy weighted lines, and it's just, and my rod doesn't have enough because it bends so much because it's flexible. The line always comes under as opposed to over, and especially when you're sidearm casting. But she'll show you the basics of the cast, and I'm going to get into casting in my series. The first cast you learn is the roll cast, or what I like to call a snap cast. If you're, roll cast, and then you learn that transitions you into a back cast, and then you learn how to take that back cast and turn it sideways to sidearm cast. Because if you type in saltwater fly fishing, you'll see all these guys don't do your traditional 10 o'clock 2 o'clock stuff. They're sidearming it. They're doing all kinds of goofed up stuff, just like any bass fisherman. And that's, you're not restricted to any one thing. She teaches you how to shoot line. I think there's a point where with single-handed fly casting, especially with the deep waters I fish, to me, shallow water fishing is like 20 feet deep. Right? And that's like shallow, and make sure nobody else is on. And so at that point, I think it's just better to go with a two-handed spay cast, right? So you get a spay rod or what they call a switch rod, something that can handle really heavy lines that just sink like a rock, which is ultimately what I need. And mostly I'm trying, but just type in Joan Wolf's Dynamics of Fly Casting. Her husband is the one who invented the Wolf fly or whatever. He invented several flies, I think. The Royal Wolf. Yeah. That fly right there. You see that fly? He invented that fly, the Royal Wolf. It's also a classic fly, right? And so this is another resource that I like. I want to learn how to fly fish. Yeah, I mean, it's an easy thing to do. I mean, I got started with just a cheap fly rod from like Walmart. It wasn't Walmart. It was one of the local tackle stores. They had one, and man, that thing was horrible. But I caught my first fish on it. Once you catch your first fish on a fly, you'll be hooked, right? Right? That's just how it works, because it's just magical, and you don't have to go building everything yourself. Just go buy something. Just get one of these cheap $30 outfits. Get you some top water bugs and go catch you some bluegill. And you can do pretty well, and you'll be surprised at it. But once you catch that first fish, you love to learn fly fishing. I've been one time, yeah. Once you sort of learn, once you get that cheap $30 fly rod reel combo, maybe it'll come with some flies, maybe it won't. If it doesn't, just get you some cheap flies. Get something about the size hook that you would normally use for catching bluegill, because for most of us, we're not living up north. We're not in cold water climate. We don't have access to trout. And so the good thing is bluegill eat exactly the same things that trout eat. So the flies work for bluegill, right? They'll work. Once you decide you may want to experiment with fly tying, again, get you a cheap fly tying vise. And if you really get serious, buy this book. This is almost a textbook. It doesn't actually show you how to tie any flies, believe it or not. But what it does is it goes through every conceivable fly tying technique with every conceivable fly tying method, right, known to mankind. And so that's why you see me fly tying the way I do. I'm just tying components because I see I'm using it more like bait harnesses. Well, it's just, let's see, it's a heavy book. It's a bench reference. Just look at the table of content, this is, can you see? Will it even, autofocus is kind of everything backwards because it's like a mirror. I don't have the mirror on. It's like that. You can't even read it. Just page after page, tensile wire, single layer tensile body, double layer tensile body, twisted tensile body. Oh, and we're just like whole chapter just on tensile wire and woven bodies and stuff, wings, foam bodies, plastic latex, vinyl body. Yeah, you just get some, latex, like literally like balloons from Walmart, or rubber bands and stuff. I mean, all this stuff. It's just every conceivable thing, and it's not all just feathers. Although he's talking about feathers and stuff here, it's weighted hooks, how to weight your hooks, all these beads, wires, tungsten, barrel eyes, and every conceivable way to do it. Very meticulously photographed. And each section starts with a big, long essay on the thing, and step by step with everything you can possibly think of. And this is, if you look at my flies, one of the things you'll see is, hey, peel and drag. Peel and drag's in the house. I'm trying to find that one. I don't know. It'll take me some time to find it. The one where it teaches you how to add tandem hooks and things like that. And see if I can find it real quick. Okay. Let's see. I may not be able to find it real quick. Extended bodies. I'm not sure that's what I need. Anyway, I'll have to go back and look at it. I haven't referenced it. So the point is, it's better to learn how to tie the materials and learn the various techniques than it is to learn how to just tie a fly. Most people want to know how to tie a fly, but what you really need to know is, what are you trying to do, right? If you know what bluegill eat and you study what bluegill eat, then it's a matter of, okay, how do I best mimic what they're eating? What materials will best mimic what they're eating, whether it be the look of it, the motion of it, or the vibration of it, or the sound of it, or whatever thing. Anytime you tie a lure, what you're trying to do is exaggerate one aspect of what that creature does. Like a rattle trap. What does a rattle trap do? It exaggerates the swimming motion of a fish. You know, right? That's what it does. That's its whole purpose. And so it's the vibration off of that is part of it as well. But you think about a crawfish pattern. That's why big lip crankbaits work so well as crawfish patterns, because not only do they mimic the crawfish swimming, but if you get it down deep enough and it's hitting the bottom, it mimics what it sounds like when they're, crawling along the rocks and stuff. That's why it works. The fish know that sound. It's similar enough that they'll trigger in on it and bite it. See, Brian Allen. Okay, let's see what he says here. I bet you can make some killer skipjack lures. Yeah, I do have some skipjack rigs on the website, and I've made some. I usually have one or two people buy those every year from me. I don't know what the link is. I don't think they'll allow me to put a link here, but they'll. If you get on the website on the shop, you'll see some skipjack lures. I usually tie those on number 4 hooks. I got some number 4 hooks here. Mustad 3366 is my favorite hook of all time because I can catch fish with it, tie flies with it, tie lures with it, and live bait fish with it, or some combination of all of them. That's why I like them. I mean, and I much prefer the Mustad 3366 as opposed to the Eagle Claw equivalent, because the Eagle Claws have they'll downturn the eye and then they'll upturn the beak here. And I found an old fly fishing book at some point where I gotta find it, maybe put it together, put some cool graphics with it, and give it away because it's in public domain. With a hook, with J hooks, this only applies to J hooks. It doesn't apply to any other kind of hook like KO hooks or circle hooks or any other kind of hook. Just your basic J hook or sprout hook or limerick, the old school hooks. There's a certain, can you see? Yeah, there's a certain angle here. Do you see how that's hitting on my skin there? You may not. I don't know. Can we? Yeah. You see that angle there? That angle is very important, right? You can feel that digging into my skin, okay? And you imagine the line pulling, that's going to dig into my skin at that angle. If you downturn that eye, like you see in most fly fishing hooks, you're going to shallow out that angle and you're not going to get as good a hook set. If you turn this beak up, you're going to shallow out that angle and not get as good a hook set. The sprout hook is a very subtle thing. That sprout hook, the very beak of that hook is tilted back out just ever so slightly, right? It's a very so slight thing that most people don't really know. And that's the sprout hook. Let me show you the, oh, come on, really? If I had wanted, okay. Okay. Actually, I'm kind of wondering if these will work for skipjack as well. But if you look, this is an O'Shaughnessy hook. This is your traditional sort of catfish hook that you would normally think about catfish with the old J type hooks. It has the beak there is pretty much straight on, but very ever so slight. You can see it coming back out. But if you look at that angle there, that angle is still very close to it. All right. It still wants to pierce my skin at that angle, and that's an important thing that most people don't understand. That's why I think some you make sabiki rigs with 6 hooks. Yeah, I can. I mean, it's easy. Well, let's see. Yeah. I mean, all I would do. Oh, here it is, right there in front of my face. Same thing. There's that angle there, very important angle. If you don't have that angle, it just won't really work. So sabiki rigs for 6 hooks, yeah. I mean, all I do is tie. Well, it depends on how you're gonna rig it. If you're gonna be rigging it, like, do I even have any line here with me? Yeah, I got a little bit of line here that I use for leaders and stuff. You know, like for the sabikis, it's basically a sabiki rig. It's just sort of homemade. You can have one sabiki here, and right up here, I'll put a dropper loop, tie a dropper loop, and you put another one. And you come up with about 6 of these things, daisy chained on, right? The question is how you're going to weight the line. You can either weight the line here at the bottom, which I'll replace that. You have to replace that last sabiki with a weight of some kind, or if you're going to do it Carolina rig style, you just have to let me know how you want to rig it. And so I need to probably go and update the website to see if I can give that as an option or a choice. And then also obviously the size line. Are you wanting to use like 20-pound line because I know skipjacks can be kind of sharp and stuff. There's skipjack in my water, but I have not been able to find them all that much. And hopefully if I can get back on the fly rod, I could probably cast into there and probably catch some of those skipjack in those swift waters. But any day, mimic shad or flies, weight at the end. Okay, weight at the end, yeah. Yeah, if you're waiting at the end, yeah, that's really in fact a lot easier because weight at the end, and I just space them. Probably space them. You know, you just do a quick dropper loop here. You know, like that or whatever. Gonna do a hack job of doing it there, and you end up with a dropper loop, something like that. That's not really the real dropper loop, but you've seen my dropper loops, and you'll just have them spaced about every few inches, and have 6 of them on the line, and I just can custom tie them for you. And yeah, 20 to 25-pound line. Yeah, yeah, I got plenty of 20-pound line here. It's in my bag. Always keep all my lines. And so a lot of times, see, when I make those, it's mostly so you can save time because not everybody has a fly tying vise. Not everybody has the time to just sit there and tie up a bunch of them. And so that's why I want to do it. And that's why I'd rather sell them like by the dozen. So you can just buy a couple or 3 dozen of them and just have them for the whole season or something. So I'll try to update the website, and I can do any color combination. My fly tying desk is just junky, but everything's organized in plastic bins under the desk, so that's where everything is. I want to get to this question. Always get super good results fishing with a buzzer fly dropper behind a micro popper. Buzzer fly. I'm not familiar with that. Let me, because I want you guys who have ideas and stuff to post them here so we can sort of talk shop. Buzzer fly. Dude, I see bass fishermen using buzz bait so much. It sounds like a helicopter. It's like, dude, it's like a mosquito the size of your hand trying to kill you. It's like, dude, I mean, if I were a bass, I would totally attack that because you're just making all this fuss and noise. So is a buzzer a fly pattern or fly type? Some you know, yeah, buzzer fly, buzzers. Oh, so they're kind of like mostly midge patterns and stuff. That's what I'm looking here. Buzzer trout flies, let's see. I'm getting hungry. Yeah, like bud farm, buzzhead, buzz. Yeah, these look like midges and stuff. You know, when I was talking about my multi-species fly fishing and talking about how river and shit romanticize because they really sort of romanticize the top water stuff. One of the things you'll see in nymphing or nymph fly fishing, it's pretty much everything I'm talking about. They're like, well, when you look at what the trout eat most of the time, it's these little midges and little bugs and little basically the same thing that the bluegill eat. Your little maggots, little things like that. And if you just have a couple of midges here, like a larger fly and then a little smaller midge or sort of wormy looking like thing that they eat, you're much more likely to catch it because it's matching what they're eating most of the time, right? And so whereas dry flies, the only time I would ever dry fly fish in my area would be during the mayfly hatch, and you would have to be on the river every day paying attention to where you have all those millions of mayflies that finally hatch and fall into the river. And at that point, it doesn't really even matter what you throw anyway, because that's such a massive die-off of flies that they'll bite anything that hits the water at that point. But that's a specialist tactic that's around. That it doesn't happen all the time. Most of the time, it's aquatic insects, small little things. If you type in midges and type in, I guess these buzz baits or whatever, buzzers. I always call them midges. I mean, they're tied on really little small hooks, scud hooks, as they say, and it's almost like nothing but thread wrapped around the fly with maybe a couple of turns of peacock herl or something at the end, make it look like a little. So there's lots of bugs and insects that live in the water, right? A lot of people don't really know that, but that's why worms and stuff catch so many fish and maggots, because it looks exactly like what they're eating all the time, and it essentially is. It's just that's an aquatic version. We're using the terrestrial, the land-based version to match what they're eating. Let's see, who else? Will you put your website? I want to know. I want to follow you. Good to know another black man interested in fly fishing. BlackWarriorLures.com. That's the website. I don't think they'll allow me to put a link here in the thing. You can try it. BlackWarriorLures.com. Oh, well, it did. Yeah, I thought it wouldn't let me do that. I think maybe if you're just on the chat, it won't let you put a link. Maybe because I'm the host, it lets me put a link. But that's my website. You can check out the blog, check out some of the videos, check out some of the products. Just type in the shop, and you can check that out. And so that's what I do. Let's see, Peeling had something else. excuse me. When you get some time, I posted a question about a trailer video you did a while ago. Just wondering some recommendations on an electric winch. So you're talking about an electric winch that you put on the trailer and you turn the winch on and it pulls the trailer for you, so you're not sitting there cranking, wearing out your shoulder, pulling your boat up. Is that what you're talking about? Just answer real quick. My boat is so lightweight that I really don't even need the winch. I can just literally pull it up. It's like a canoe or something. So an electric winch is not something I need. The basic winch is good, but even most of the time I don't really need it. For most people, I don't use the Harbor Freight boat trailer. You guys know, many of you know that I just had nothing but bad luck with that trailer. They're good if you're just gonna be putting around a farm or something. But as far as getting out on the highway day after day after day, every day, it's just not gonna hold up, in my experience. And the design of the axle with the the bearings are just, you have to pretty much take the whole trailer apart about every 6 months to re-grease everything. And I had problems with leaking. I'm pretty sure that grit and sand have gotten into there and just tore it apart. I did flip that trailer once. That messed up one of the axles on it, and I kept having to add more and more stuff to it. And when you added up the cost, it ended up paying something like twice as much for the trailer. Whereas I could have just gone out and bought like my McLean trailer. What do you call it? The McLean trailer that I got from Academy, and had zero problems with it. And yes, I did flip that trailer as well. It never flipped all the way over. I was able to get it back over. And I just had to learn that I had to just put the truck in second gear when I'm with the trailer on the dirt road, because what I did, I was coming down a steep hill. It was very curvy, and I hit a patch of exposed outcropping of rock, and that sent the hit that little bit of a rock, not all that fast, really. I wasn't driving fast, but you hit it at just the right angle, just the right speed, just right as that curve. If I had been going straight, it wouldn't have been a problem. It's just that there was a sharp curve going down a steep hill, and you just sort of went around. It started overcorrecting. I tried to correct, but it was just too late. Spun around. The trailer didn't actually flip till the very end. Flipped it back over. It twisted the tongue some, because the tongue is the sacrificial point. If it's going to flip over, the tongue will twist out so that the rest of the trailer is protected. But I put that on there. It cost $20 from Academy to replace that. There was no problem with the hub whatsoever. I don't even have to disassemble the hub to re-grease it, because the axle on that trailer has the Dexter Easy Lube system, where you just take off the rubber thing, and there's a pip fitting Zerg grease fitting right in there, and you just squeeze the grease in there, and you're squeezing all the time, and it will force that grease all the way to the back hub, to the back bearing that's on the axle. So you're pumping grease here, and there's a hole through that axle, and it squeezes out all that old grease. All that old grease comes out at one time, and you just have to wipe it off, and you just keep pumping until you see nothing but fresh, clean grease. And so it's a self-priming, pressing axle, and you do it while rotating the wheel jacked up off the ground. I haven't demonstrated that yet, but it makes it so easy that it's just impossible to like break the trailer, and it's so tough. I've not had any problem with it at all. And and the tires are bigger tires. They're able to handle highway speeds of up to 60 miles an hour, whereas the Harbor Freight tires were only able to handle like 45. I mean, it's kind of a joke, right? I mean, if you have tires that are only able to handle 45 miles an hour, and you're going to be driving highway speeds, you're just in trouble over the long term. But anyway, Ben Wicker from Ozark. Dude, Ozark, is it flooding down there or what? It's flooding up here. I mean, it's flooding clear up to downtown Tuscaloosa. You know, the Oliver Dam is just it's. I haven't been down there to look, but just looking at the hydroelectrics, it's just flooding. I went up to Holt Lake a couple of days. Didn't take the boat. I meant to get some footage of the river, but I kept forgetting like my memory card or stuff, battery or something. Couldn't get any footage, but it's really swollen all the way clear up to Bankhead, man. It's swollen. Um, but somebody here on the channel told me that they were catching a lot of bluegill at the mouth of the creeks and stuff because you can see them feeding. Usually when the river's swollen like that, I'll get up there on Holt and fish the shelf where the riverbed comes out and it comes up and it's real shallow up on the near the riverbank, just out of the old river channel into the new river channel. That's where a lot of those fish are holding right now. But it's moving fast. It's just a lot of current there right now, and But anyway, take a chartreuse. Yeah, all the boat ramps are closed. Yeah, it's just because there's so many dams on the Black Warrior. There's like a dam every few miles and stuff. So once I get up to Bankhead, it's not flooding per se. It's up, but it's not flooding. But it's moving. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't really want to be out there. I don't even want to know what it's like below the dam. They probably got all the gates open. They may not have all the gates open because they don't want to. They got to control the flood some, so they'll maybe let some out, let it down. It's just funny to see the creek run backwards sometime because there's so much water coming. But anyway, if you look at the McLean trailer, McLean trailer is good from Academy. It's just better built. The one thing about the McLean is the lights on it are worthless. I don't think the trailer comes with lights from the factory. I think Academy just gets the cheapest lights they have in the store and put on there. So if you buy one, I would tell them, look, you need to go get me some LED lights and put on this thing before I leave. And that if you do that, you'll be all right. I do have a flat tire on my trailer right now. I don't know what that happened. I don't know what caused that or anything, but I did replace one tire a while back. I think it was when I flipped the trailer. Sometimes if you flip the trailer, rocks can get down between the tire and the rim, and over time they'll just start leaking no matter how much you try to clean it up. And so I just ended up buying a new tire for that, and then I have a current flat tire on it now that nothing's ever really there's no real reason for it. It's just gone flat. Tires lose pressure over time anyway. Oh, are you serious? Ozark saying it's going to be nice for the weekend, but more rain on Monday. And see, that's what's stopping me from building the boat. I need to get this boat done. It's been a year. It's over a year at this point. All the components are ready. All I got to do, I just need a break in the weather to where I can sort of sand things down, trim everything up, and just literally nail it together, and we'll have a boat. Of course, I got a fiberglass bottom, all that kind of thing, but I think I'm going to have to just go erect a big tent or something over it in order to get it dry enough for long enough that I can work in it. Or I may just have to take the whole thing to a friend's house or something where they maybe have a garage, or maybe take it down to my mom's house at her garage and just work on it there. That may be the only way I'll be able to finish the boat. But I mean, that's the next thing, to build a shed. Quentin's, why not build a shed? Now, I'm sick of the rain too. But I've heard the old timers say that when you have a winter, when it rains a lot, that that it'll make the spring fishing better because the water's higher. The fish have more places to choose to fish, as opposed to if it were a drought year or something. But I don't know. I think you say you take a chartreuse pipe cleaner and screw it through the eye of the hook and bend it back, and then wrap the pipe cleaner around the hook. Super glue. That's the best fly I've ever used. That's kind of like the San Juan worm, essentially. Just a pipe cleaner. Yeah, tough. You got that super glue, dude? Super glue is like the greatest thing in fly fishing since the advent of fly fishing. I mean, you can make anything because you have essentially a glue that's just like as strong as a weld. It's like brazing solder. You know, it's pretty much like chemical solder or something. Uh, uh, Interesting. Somebody just posted a comment on one of my other videos. I think, I love to build and hop up these engines, and I keep blowing them up. And Porsche, man, I'm not. This may have been one of my. This may have been some other. He says simply. Yeah, I don't know what he's saying. I don't. Doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Um, yeah. Okay. So Quentin saying that get a railroad container, and that's great because it's 8 foot wide, 8.5 foot tall, and long is all get out. I guess you can get them in 20 foot and 40 feet. I guess that would be a great way to go. They'll definitely keep things dry. Uh, I'd love to build like a little house out of one of those little things, and made a shed out of one of those. They put right onto the flatbed trucks. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've seen those. I mean, they're like building houses out of those things now. I mean, they're so good, and there's so many of them. It's actually costs more money for us to send them back to China or back to wherever they came from than it does for us to just stockpile them in a junkyard somewhere. And so they buy them cheap. You see them in construction sites and all the time. Um, they're just tough as nails. But anyway, yeah, the little engines. I think I've come to a conclusion about my building these hot rod engines, these mud motor engines. You really need about 10 horsepower for every 500 pounds of weight that you're pushing over the water or through the water if you're going to get up on a plane and run fast. And when you buy the 6.5 horsepower kit, you're just underpowered. You'll always be underpowered. Even when you put all these flywheels and camshafts and hot rod carburetors, and you're still going to be coming under the gun. Like my engine right now is probably producing right at about 9 horsepower, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And you're still it's just a little underpowered. That's how you always feel. So the way I think it, if you need 10 horsepower, get the 13 horsepower Predator. That way you got 3 more horsepower than you actually need, right? And that's just my opinion on that. So these engines are just, these engines are not they're just power generator engines. So they're not really designed for propulsion anyway. What I wish is somebody would just take the little 6.5 horsepower engine and just add a second cylinder to it, whether it be a V twin or inline or horizontally boxer type engine. Doesn't matter to me. If they just added a second cylinder to it, it would be like so much more, like twice the torque, twice the power, and but not necessarily twice the footprint. It'd be far better balanced because you got 2 cylinders moving in and out all the time. That's part of the problem with these engines, is the 6.5 horsepower engine is incredibly unbalanced. Because let's think about this for a second. Just you have the rotating mass of the crankshaft and you have the piston that moves out. Well, the rotating mass is counter to that, and that balances it out. But as soon as the piston is halfway back into the chamber, into the sleeve, the rotating mass is either here or here, and it's completely out of balance because there's nothing keeping that in balance, right? That's why a lot of guys have gone to the to the 420 Predators, to the the big block engines, because they put a counterbalancer in there in addition to the counterbalance that's on the crankshaft, and you have the piston. There's also a counterbalancer mechanism that's just added weight in it that will counter the counterbalancer. So it's like adding the balance what you would get with a second cylinder without actually adding a second cylinder. It's just not a good idea to have a single cylinder engine, because the single cylinder has to do all the work. It suck, squish, bang, blow, four cycles. It has to do all the work. The moment you put a second cylinder in it, now you're dividing up the work, and each cylinder is doing half the job, and you get way smoother running action, way smoother everything. It's just so much better in every way. But they don't make small 2-cylinder power heads because it's just sort of overkill for a power generator. So it's just one of those things, Okay. That's about right. Yeah. 1 horsepower, Ozarks, 1 horsepower for every 2 inch of bottom width wide. If your boat 36 inches wide on the bottom, you need like 15 horsepower. Yeah, that's about right. And so because even some of the guys, that's why if you go to Thailand, that's why their boats are like 2 feet wide at the bottom. They're almost like canoes and stuff. That's why it works so well. So, but am I going to get a new motor? Nah, not really. I don't mind being slow, as long as I get where I want to go. I'm lengthening it out, and what that's going to do, although it adds more weight to the boat, it'll help ballast the boat out, and I have the transom completely flat plumb. Therefore, the power head will be further in to the boat, so it's going to plane out a little better. And if I get an extra long shaft, it would actually be cheaper than buying a new motor, and I'd still be able to use it fine. And I'm not really building the boat to run really super fast. I'm building it to haul a bunch of weight. If you just moved at displacement speed, just like whole speed, like sailboat speed, you only need like 1 horsepower for every 500 pounds of weight that you're hauling or something. You'll just be moving the hull. You'll just be kind of creeping along, but that's, it's incredibly efficient that way. But anyway. What time is it? We've been 42 minutes. I think I'd maybe make these maybe 45 or so. So I definitely want to get on the river. I may wait out today and head out tomorrow. I need to add some oil to the motor, and one of the bolts that bolts it down to the gimbal has come off. So I got to see what's going on there, tighten up those bolts. In general, these engines rev and vibrate something fierce, and you just have to re-torque every now and again. I haven't really done that, so I got to go do that. I want to get out on the river, test the new fly rod. Let me show you this fly line I got. Oh, and I need to show you my jugs too. You guys know I'm not terribly. Oh, here, I got this. This is the fly line I got from overseas. It's 7-weight sinking fly line. I bought 2. It's a 100-foot line. The one you've been seeing me use on the fly rod is already on the fly rod, so I bought 2, one for a backup. But that's what it looks like. It's just real cheap, nothing fancy. It just works, and it casts fairly well because I don't cast it. Let me show you my new jugs. I'll be right back. New jugs. Really? All right, we got like literally new jugs for jug fishing this year. Someone last time we did a live cast, someone's asking about where you buy jugs, and I went to US Plastic and literally bought jugs. These are basically like Clorox bottle jugs, 1 gallon. I got them. I forget how much, like $1.50 a piece or something, and it came with the cap. And I glued the cap on with goop, right? So the outer side of this and the inside of the cap, glued it on, let it sit overnight, so it's waterproof. And literally, it'd be nice to get some reflective tape on that, and that will be highly visible. And this is, I'm going to try something different. Light line jugging. This is like 8-pound test line, you think? But I'm fishing for anything that bites. One of my swivels there, I'm not doing it for catfish. I'm doing it for anything that'll bite. I think I put like 12 feet of line here, and there's a dropper there. You know, you always, no, yeah. So weight, dropper. Wait a minute, and yeah, and that's a loop-to-loop connection, like with the fly rod, and that's 20-pound line, and then it's just tied there with an anchor hitch and half hitches. And so, again, I want to test that out a little bit and just put that afloat in the river. And I'm thinking for stowage, just wrapping it around here and securing it with a rubber band. And I began to realize, because I don't go far from where I fish, I can just load up the bed of the truck full of jugs. I bought 20 jugs, and I got them all rigged up, nearly all rigged up. So there's that. Rubber band. Oh, come on now, really? It can stow fairly nicely. Keep 20 of these on the truck. I got the other 12 that I made last year still on the truck. And then you can just, because I have such a small boat, I can't haul 50 jugs, but I can easily haul 10, put them out on a spot, run back to the boat dock, get another 10, put them out in the spot, go like that. And but anyway, be safe in the river tomorrow. Gotta go. Gotta have a super weekend. Yeah. So, but anyway, I think we're gonna shut it down. I'm ready to go eat lunch, and I'm probably gonna do these every Friday. I don't know when. Just probably Friday mornings, because unless I'm fishing. But I want to try to do these live streams every Friday. And I'll see you whenever. Whenever. Can you actually see my... Wow, look at that, dude. You actually see me seeing me.